think of porn?
There's a long silence, says enough, right? Before we get into the practical tips to stop watching porn forever, let's first listen to Andrew Tate's reaction to the question in his most recent interview with Tucker Carlson.
A whole bunch of men are simply not having sex anymore, and then they become addicted to porn, which is cucking, effectively. I mean, two people are having sex and you're just watching it. and it's become a, yeah.
Good point!
I mean...
Now, if Andrew Tate was making fun of you, it's not enough for you to stop. Let's listen for his answer to the general problem.
And it's become a pandemic, right? So men are replacing genuine sexual relationships with just the computer screen and porn, and it's becoming a very, very big problem. And that's also exasperated by the fact that I think the sexual marketplace has become globalized. This is the thing I say to young men. A lot of men come to me with problems, and my only answer to them is masculine excellence.
The answer, masculine excellence. So how to become the excellent man? Let's listen to Andrew's brother.
Stay single for a while. See who walks in and out of your life. Don't try and commit to anything too big, especially when you're building your dreams. But if you haven't made any money yet, you're still maybe living with your parents, you're not where you want to be, you're not driving the car you want, obsessing over some woman, even if she is a high-quality woman, could still drag you down. I'd like to think that she wouldn't, but the distraction factor is real.
The distraction will set you back, so build the man first. And everything else will get easier.
Most women out there are very happy to share a man who's just rich and famous, and they don't care.
It's
right. So if you're the normal guy, you know, there's this rich famous guy with 30 girls. That's 29 dudes who are lonely, and they end up watching porn. And if you have a porn addiction or you have a problem with porn, you have a problem with yourself, because I guarantee if you were the kind of man you're supposed to be, you would have no time for that, and you wouldn't need it.
Yeah,
I can confirm that's absolutely and utterly the case.
Yeah.
So the fact you even need porn shows there's a problem with you as a man, because if you were the kind of man you could be, and I genuinely believe that any man can become anything, then you'd have unlimited sexual options and you would have no interest in that.
So the takeaway here is become the man you could be, and your interest in porn will go away because you have unlimited options. Now I understand you may be angry at yourself and want to stop immediately. So let's listen to the practical advice from Andrew's friend, Sterling Cooper, who was a former adult star and now helps guys to stop watching his movies. He shares his 4-step plan to stop watching porn forever.
By actually cutting back on your social media use. Let's find a low-hanging fruit that we can target. Delete TikTok, delete Instagram. Okay, and then he might find that he starts to have a bit more self-control. There's a little bit of a relief there for them to start to reset, start to not have that hamster wheel cocaine addiction kind of effect.
So number 1 is the low-hanging fruit and delete your social medias. Number 2.
Don't go cold turkey. Decrease the stimulus, right? So let's say he has habitual porn use. Okay, how do we reduce that stimulus slightly? Okay, we make him set a rule for himself that he's only allowed to open like one tab. Like he's only allowed to watch one video when he masturbates or whatever the fuck, right? And he does that for a week.
So step 2 is a slow decrease in stimulus by only watching one of Sterling's movies.
And the next week we say, okay, he's only allowed to masturbate to like an image. Instead of a video, it has to be an image, right? But he allows himself that.
So from 1 video per week to only 1 image the next week. And then the last step in the process.
And then the next week he weans off again and he's like, okay, now you're only allowed to read an erotic short story instead of looking at a photo. And so eventually, over the course of like a month or two, we've slowly dialed down the stimulus, the effect of that stimulus, to the point where, okay, now he's actually using his own imagination. So that's infinitely better than where he was before. Now the next step, we just get him to completely get away from that. Mm-hmm. Stop the masturbation entirely.
So the last part before quitting entirely is by reading an erotic story and using your own imagination. And that's a wrap for this video. Remember, start living your life like it is a documentary, because it is. Someone is just not filming you yet. Subscribe for more.